Supernatural Season 12, Episode 5, the one you've been waiting for. Enjoyed this episode. We got to see Sam and Dean once again going up against the Nazis, taking on the Thule, which I thought was a cool thing to bring back. They didn't do it the way I expected. It was really mostly Sam and Dean, but we did get at least one little scene of the actual guy that they met in the, I think it was 2 seasons ago. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, okay, we got to see him. Sadly, they didn't actually show the his golem, but it was still pretty cool. I was like, alright, that's pretty sweet. You know, he's actually in Germany, which once it showed that, I was like, oh, we probably won't see him like come to the States and actually, you know, have his golem like beat up a bunch of Nazis. I was like, this will probably really focus more on Sam and Dean, and that's what it did. So I was like, okay, they're keeping it in there. This wasn't, you know, them beating the Thule or anything like that. It was just like a specific mission against the Thule, and this was pretty cool. I actually like this one. I like the way they did the characters, and based on the way it ended, it seemed like they have yet another jumping off point for how to get back to the Thule, because they let the kid go at the end of the episode, and they're like, well, the Thule, they're going to chase you forever, so you should probably take off. And I'm like, well, that's, you know, we've seen them bring characters back with much less of a cliffhanger. It's like, they could easily bring him back, and it makes a lot of sense. So I think when they decide to do that, with, you know, whether it's next season or the season after, I think that'll be a good jumping off point. So they'll have him as kind of the insider, and then they'll have the other guy, and I certainly don't remember his name, but they'll have him, maybe he'll be back in the States with his golem and stuff, and it's like, hey, he used to be a part of the Thule, his dad wanted to kill him, but he fought back, and then he helped to save this girl, so you guys can actually work together, and whatever, you know, little bit of insight the young guy had, they could actually utilize that to take on the Thule, and maybe that would be how they officially defeat them, because it seems like there's not a lot of them. You know, they kind of make a reference to like how they're all kind of gathering together because there's so few left after they kind of went across Germany and just were like killing them off one by one. So it seems like the next time they do it, it could easily be the last time, and they could do like, you know, kind of a big battle sort of thing. Maybe even do multiple episodes. I think that would be cool if they did like a 2-part thing and just, you know, completely finish off the Thule and stuff like that. So don't know when they'll do it, but they definitely have kind of 2 tangents that they can go on now that they have 2 separate characters that are involved with the Thule. But the mission itself I thought was really sweet. You know, they're fighting against the Thule to protect this girl, who we find out is a distant relative of Hitler. And so the plan is to use this little pocket watch that actually holds the soul of Hitler, which I thought was a very interesting thing. And of course it led to a hilarious scene when the guy mentions it's like a Horcrux, and Dean looks at Sam, he's like, it's a Harry Potter thing. He's just like, oh, you would know that. And I thought that was a really funny scene, but I like the way they did it. I thought it was pretty cool that they went through, you know, they're dealing with all these people. The one thing I thought was weird is that none of these people were coming back to life, because they even have it in the recap, like if you want to officially do it, you have to like kill them and then burn the body. And they mentioned it at like the end of the episode, but there's a part, I think they killed somebody, maybe, I guess they didn't. They didn't kill anyone during that fight scene when, I forgot the girl's, Eleanor, when she like jumped out the window. So I guess they didn't kill anyone in that scene. They got beat up and they left. But I was thinking like, man, they killed them and they didn't do the body burning thing, but they did mention that at the end actually. So I guess they did it right, because I was like, they're just shooting him in the head, and you know, that's all there is to it. But they burned all the bodies, so I guess that it's all said and done there. But I like the way it was playing out. You know, it starts off with, you know, we just start off with, you know, the random people that die at the beginning of the episode, and you have this pawnbroker, he's trying to sell, you know, the watch, and then he kind of raises the price on the woman. And so he starts smoking, he gets set on fire. And it was really funny watching that, because when he gets set on fire, like, he spontaneously combusts. And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking in her position, the first thing I thought was, maybe grab that and get out of there. And then right after that, I was like, maybe not though, because that's probably why he just burst into flames. But sadly, she didn't get to that second part that I was thinking of. And then she looked at it, and she picked it right up, and she stepped like 2 feet. And it was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, that's what you get. Like, that, you should have been thinking about that. Like, someone spontaneously combusts, and you don't think that it, like, at least the possibility that it may somehow be involved with this random pocket watch. Like, of course, it's supernatural, so everything, you know, is literally supernatural. But even in a normal circumstance, if someone spontaneously combusts, I'm not touching anything they just touched. I'm like, I don't know what just happened there, but that item is way too risky for me to put my hands on. But it was just funny watching. I was like, yep, she just picked it up. She was like, well, I guess it's free now. And then, of course, she takes 2 steps and it's like, poof, she's on fire. So it was kind of funny watching that. And then they go through, we get the girl, and, you know, finding out that she was a blood relative and that they need, well, initially it kind of seemed like they would need the body of a relative in order to resurrect Hitler. But then we find out that it would just be the blood of that relative into whichever body in order to resurrect Hitler. So I was like, that makes sense, because I thought they were going to put him into her, and I was like, well, that's weird, they're going to resurrect Hitler inside of a woman, and considering Hitler, I would think that would come out as a bit of an issue. So when they were going through it initially, I was like, that's kind of weird that they would do that. I don't think Hitler is exactly progressive in that sense. But then it goes through and it's like, you know, did you really think that I would resurrect Hitler in your body? He just needs a body with, you know, his own bloodline in it. So I forgot, it's like Nas House or something like that was the main bad guy's name for this episode. So once he becomes Hitler, it's really silly because Hitler comes out and he's like just crazy and silly and stuff. And then it got a bit more serious when he was like, you know, drained the rest of her blood and then feed it to the dogs. And the guy's like, we don't have any. And then he yelled at him like, well, then get some. So they had those moments where he would have like little outbursts. But for the most part, he was just really crazy. He was like super happy to be alive. And he's just like, oh my goodness, like you guys look great. And then he laughs because the guy's wife is probably dead. So it was just silly watching that happen. Then they go through, and I was surprised by the way it was solved. Like they go in, they leave the kid in the car. Sam and Dean go in. It's like, all right, we got to stop the Nazis, save the girl. And they get captured like 2 seconds in, which that's kind of normal. They get captured all the time. It's like, all right, I wonder how they're going to get out of this. I thought for sure it was going to be the kid. Like he was going to end up getting out of the handcuffs and somehow he'd come in and rescue them. But I like the way they did it where they got captured. You know, they're talking it up. You know, it's like, holy crap, this dude is now Hitler. And Eleanor she's up just enough to where she can, you know, she pulls herself out and she just grabs one of the guns and she shoots a guy. That distracts everyone, and then that's how Sam and Dean are able to actually fight back and take all the Thule out. So I was like, that was a pretty unique way to do it, because normally they get captured and they either break out or it's always the person that they left behind where it's like, we don't want you in here. And then they somehow break free of the handcuffs and they end up saving them to be, you know, when it ends up being all said and done. So I like the way they did that, because I thought for sure it was going to be the boy, but she was able to muster up enough strength to at least pull that trigger one time and take that guy out. Fortunately, she had good aim. I thought she was aiming at Hitler at first, and I was like, this could go wrong, because if she misses, like when they had the scene where it was like her blurry vision, she was kind of looking towards Hitler, and then I was like, that's Dean is like this, like he's just in that diagonal line of sight, and I was like, if she missed, she'd probably shoot Dean like in the shoulder or something, but she ends up shooting the guy with like perfect accuracy, and then that allows them, you know, to fight back. And of course we have the ending where Dean is just super happy because he technically killed Hitler. So I love that. It was funny the way they did it too, because it was like, it was a serious moment. He does like, you know, the cool one-liner, and then Sam is the first one to say like, dude, like you just killed Hitler, and Dean is still kind of his normal like sort of stoic side, and then he goes to the sillier side. He's like, yeah, I did, like I killed Hitler. So that's like the last 3 minutes of the episode is him just being happy that he killed Hitler and stuff, which makes a lot of sense. He's talking about getting t-shirts made, and you know, because they had the pie thing in the beginning of the episode and stuff. So I thought it was funny. I really enjoyed the way they ended it, where he's like, hey, I killed Hitler, I'm pretty sure I deserve some pie. So great way to end it. I thought it was a really good episode. I like, you know, the story behind it. It's a newer element to the series as well. Like the Thule, you know, they've only had, I think they really did only have that one episode. We've had, you know, our other Nazi stuff before from the last season, but you know, this was really focused on like the Thule and their goals. The Thule just happened to be a part of that last season thing where it's like, we need, you know, one of the hands of God, and that just so happened to involve the Nazis and stuff. This was really like, this is the only reason any of this is happening is because of the Thule, and not because Sam and Dean want something else. It was like they just happened to fall upon this mission that was strictly the Thule doing something that they wanted to do, which was resurrect Hitler. So I was glad to see that happen. I liked the way it played out. It focused on them We didn't get, I guess there's not much backstory that we really need. We kind of got all of it from like that original episode. So there's not much backstory needed. It's just they're current day Nazis, but they're also the magical version of Nazis. So they're like twice as bad. And Sam and Dean had to take them out and stop them from, bringing Hitler back, which technically they failed in that, but Dean killed Hitler. So nice all around ending. We have our normal couple of people in the beginning that get killed off. The one guy that was in Eleanor's apartment, he got roasted alive. I was like, man, that sucks for him. He was just in there, and she just kind of was like, oh crap. At first, I thought she knew who they were as well, because it seemed like she had an instant reaction when she saw them, like, whoa, like, oh crap, they found me, is what I thought she was kind of dealing with. And then we find out that she didn't even know who they were. I was like, oh, her reaction. Granted, random people burst into her house, so of course the first thing you might want to do is be like, well, I'm just going to stay where they can't see me. But the way she kind of reacted to me, my first thought was, oh, she knows that it's the Thule, and she's, kind of like hiding away from them, where she was involved in that and was able to escape at one point, and they, tracked her down. But I liked the way it all played out. I thought it was a good story. I liked the action, the comedy. I thought was really well done. Just some of the little moments just made me laugh a lot. But overall, a really nice episode that, like I said, with them letting the kid go, by the end of it, can easily lead into the next chapter of, the Winchesters versus the Thule. So they might end up protecting that kid. The other guy might come back with his golem and everything like that. So I'm excited to see where they take this, because it's a lesser part of the series where it's like, it's Nazis, and then we just throw magic on top of that. So it's always actually really interesting to watch them go through it. But it's very rare. It typically gets like one episode ever since it's shown up. It's like you get like one episode per season kind of focuses on the Thule, and that's pretty much it. So it'll be nice to see how they kind of continue on with it, and how they kind of end it off, because they already, like I said, they made mention of how they've been wiping out so many that they need to come together because there's only so many left. So they've kind of dropped the hint there, like they could easily end it in the next season if they wanted to, and just say it's been like a year and there's only like 5 Thule left, and they're trying like the ultimate plan to survive forever and take out everybody else and rule the world. So they could easily do that in the next season if they want to end it out, but it might continue on. That might not have an ending storyline until the final season, depending on how long they want to carry on the Thule and what they end up being involved in. But definitely thought it was a fun episode. Of course, want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And now that we've gotten, I guess technically, a 3rd episode with the Thule, where would you like to see it go next? Like, it's one of those things where, they do this every year. There's always a couple of stories where it's like, oh, here's that one episode from the last season, and they're continuing that story in this one episode. So they've had that for a long time. They've been doing that forever. So I want to know what you would like to see come next from the Thule storyline. I don't know what extra they could do. I mean, they did resurrecting Hitler. I don't know, outside of just killing everybody, I don't know what could be as epic. But considering they have magic, there's some crazy stuff that could certainly happen. I don't know if we'll see probably the spontaneous combustion. That's kind of their thing. That's like their sort of dynamic, murder type of thing, is like they can set people on fire spontaneously. So I'm sure we'll see that, as a part of it. But want to know where you guys think they might be headed with that storyline now that we have another character that's, been added on, and he's allowed to survive, although the Thule are going to be, chasing him down forever. So definitely want to know your predictions on how the Thule storyline is going to continue in the next season. If you even think it'll continue this season, I would love to know what you think about that as well. And of course, just want to know what you thought about the episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.